Hello, my name is Linnea, and today I'm going to be interviewing here Julie Betsch about Tanzania and the lion African diseases, which she studies at the University of Montana. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Linnea.
So, first question. What made you want to study African lion diseases?
Well, ever since I was a little girl, I really loved animals, and I was very concerned about what our actions were going to do to animals. So I was really interested in endangered species. And so because of a lot of the stuff that we need, like land and food, a lot of the animal populations got really small. And so when they're really small like that, they are susceptible to going extinct. And disease is one of those things that could cause the extinction of the smaller populations.
Thank you. Now, how long have you been studying African lion diseases?
I've been studying African lion diseases for about 1 year and wildlife diseases for about 2.5 years.
What is the most common disease that African lions can have?
The African lions in the Serengeti, almost all of them have FIV, which is a lot like human HIV. So it's like cats get cat AIDS, like humans get human AIDS. But in African lions, it doesn't seem to make them sick. But one disease that does seem to make them sick is canine distemper virus. If an animal gets canine distemper virus, they can die from it.
So do you study any other animals other than African lions?
Well, I study African lions primarily because we know a lot about African lions, but the disease I study is called canine distemper virus, and many other animals in the Serengeti are susceptible to canine distemper virus, like striped hyenas and jackals and bat-eared foxes and African wild dogs. So my research does look at some of those other animals.
Which lion is more prone to diseases, male or female?
I don't know. There hasn't been many studies on that, and part of the reason is because male lions in the Serengeti are less studied than the female lions. So we don't know that much about males versus the females in terms of disease.
Yeah. How much kinds of disease that you know of, out there anywhere, for lion diseases?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a really hard one to answer. So maybe there are tens of thousands of diseases in African lions. So maybe there's tens of thousands of diseases, but you could divide them up into some groups. So there's what are called macroparasites, like flies and ticks, that can cause disease. There are intestinal parasites, like worms. There's bacteria, like what causes pneumonia. And viruses can also cause disease.
So how much, in your whole life, how much times have you been to Africa or to Tanzania?
I've been to the continent of Africa twice, and I've been to Tanzania twice.
So, how are most diseases caused?
Well, there are, I think, two main types of disease. There's congenital disease. Those are diseases that you're born with, that maybe you get from your genetics. And then there's infectious disease, which is what I study. Infectious diseases are diseases that you can give to each other. So what causes them are often bacteria or viruses or fungi.
So, averagely, how much lions die a year from disease?
From disease, even in the Serengeti, where they study the African lions very closely. We don't really know. And one reason is because disease is really hard to study in wild animals, because when an animal gets sick, just like you and I, we just don't really want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just lay around, or a lot of times they even hide, because if they look weak to other animals, they might get killed. So a disease is a hard thing to measure in wild populations.
Good. So, anything else you would like to add?
I think the all that I would like to add is that wildlife disease may be a factor that affects wildlife populations, and it's very difficult to study, and so I think that we just need to do more research to learn how disease affects wildlife populations.
Good. Well, I think that what you do is great, and thank you for your time, Julie.
Thank you, Linnea.
Thank you.